Okay, so we want to get started right away here on here at the Blue Economy, and during our Code Blues, we're not particularly disposed to the African time in quote approach. We like to get started very quickly and go straight into the essence of our monthly briefs on the state of our oceans and how we can make some good progress in that regard. So without much ado, I want to go straight to my opening remarks. I want to start first by welcoming everyone here. I want to welcome our lead discussant, and we'll be going through his profile shortly before he takes the stage. And of course, our regulars, Admiral Lagada, who led last month's discussion, Russell Pegg. I know that we have representation from some of our various government agencies here as well. NIMASA is here, NPA, and even the Nigerian Shippers Council as well, and a host of other individuals who are currently involved in policy making and participation actively within the maritime and blue economy space. So I really want to thank everyone for getting on this call and joining us for this fourth installment of our Code Blue. Now, when we launched this platform 4 months ago, I think that was July, we started in July, and we said, rather than go code red, we want to go code blue. The intention was to actually ensure that we had a system, a mechanism that consistently checked on the pulse of our blue economy state of affairs in the country. And that's why we dubbed it Nigeria's monthly ocean intelligence brief, brought to you, of course, by the Blue Economy Academy. Interestingly, the Blue Economy Academy is a little over a year in its existence. And the reason why we established the Academy, of course, was to eliminate sea blindness. One of the things I saw during my short stint at the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency in NIMASA was that so many people participated in maritime without necessarily understanding the ramifications in terms of what was expected, what needed to be done, in terms of the entire value it could actually avail our nation. And that there was a need to call awareness to this dimension of how things ought to be done. You had policymakers, or you even had legislators who were making laws, but had never been out to sea to truly understand what life means out there. And so all of these experiences informed this decision to establish the Blue Economy Academy. So when we launched this platform 4 months ago, we called it a pulse checker, a stethoscope, as if we were doctors, placed on the heart of Nigeria's maritime and marine spaces. To listen, not just for sound, but for sense, for some signal, and of course, for strategy. We now know that we have a national policy on blue economy, 2025 to 2035, that at least signposts some form of strategy direction. And a lot of what we do here is to draw from that framework and let it guide us in terms of how we can shape some of the conversations. So since Code Blue 1.0, we briefed on everything from piracy to port reform. We had Admiral Agada, who took us through the piracy dimension, or perhaps we could call it the security dimension and its impact on prosperity, blue prosperity. That was the conversation we had last month. We've also touched on the inland waterways. We've touched on innovation. We've touched also on fish, even up to finance. Of course, being just 4 episodes into this series, there's still so much more to discuss. And that's why, as we proceed, we will thrive and we will strive to be as thematic as possible, like we did last month when we focused exclusively on security. But the goal is to always do this with one intention, and it is to say, can we surface the truth of the tides in our marine ecosystem to the surface so that we can all see and understand? How do we turn the headlines that we see every now and then into some form of national direction? Let's make some headway with regards to our strength as a maritime nation. How do we make this blue economy, which we now have, more than just a buzzword? How can we make it visible to the average Nigerian? How can we make it valuable? How can we make it viable so that we can all participate from all walks of life? That's really what Code Blue is about. Not to raise an alarm or not to be alarmists, but to more purposefully awaken our collective consciousness to how blessed we are, how fortunate we are as a maritime state. So at the Blue Economy Academy, that is our mission. Code Blue is our flagship, and it helps us towards achieving our mission, which is to see a Nigeria that prospers by water, not just in concept, but in terms of jobs. At some point, the unemployment rate was close to 40-something%. And yet, we have 853 kilometers of coastline stretching from Badagry in Lagos down to my neck of the woods in Akwa Ibom, Cross River States, Calabar. 853 kilometers of marine possibilities, of blue possibilities that we've not actually done much with. And so we need to take actions. There are investments to be made. There are innovations to be brought to the fore. All of this while adhering to the principles of sustainability. So Code Blue was born to ensure that we make this mission practical. And so everything we're discussing here is essentially to ensure that people, the average person, can understand what our waters imply. So our presenters, our discussants understand this, and they do everything possible to lead the conversations in such a way as to give us all that practical sense of appreciation of our waters and the possibilities that it holds. And in fact, when people listen to the conversations on Code Blue, it should be such that they're asking themselves a question: how do I participate? What can I do? How can I get involved? How does it affect me? I am someone who believes that whether we like it or not, the sea affects us all, especially as Nigerians. It affects us all. When we go out to shop, we feel the impact, whether in terms of how costly or how affordable certain products that we import into the country are. And so if it affects us all, our discussants and our discussions must be such that we can all relate to it. So jobs, in terms of jobs, investment, innovation, and you name it. So Code Blue was born to make that mission practical. This is not a seminar. Even though we're expecting a paper to be presented, this is not a panel, so that at least the barriers are lowered. It is simply a monthly scan, a brief, a brain trust made in Nigeria and for Nigeria. And I'm really looking forward to hearing and seeing what Lagos State has been doing, especially in the last 2 to 3 months, dominating the airwaves in terms of how it is playing in the water space. And so now, as we step into this 4th installment, let's build on the 3 months of evidence. As you can see here, we have the communiques from the last 3 episodes. This is the first one. Sorry, I don't know my background, but this was a Code Blue communique, Code Blue 1 communique for one. I don't know, is it visible? Is this visible enough? I'm not sure. But we all have all 3 here, all 3 communiques, maybe because of the background that I'm using. And I believe every one of us on this call would have been receiving these communiques, and we continue to send them out to decision makers, to policy makers, and of course to industry players. The soft copies are available on our website, and we'll continue to build this body of knowledge as best as we can and use it to shape the conversations surrounding our waters. So, my friends, on this 4th installment, I will be calling on lead discussants shortly, but it's time to move Nigeria in a way and manner that allows us all to access our ocean space. The sea affects us all. It's time to awaken that consciousness. We all must take an interest. We can't all fold our arms and then act unconcerned. I was doing a read of what's happening in the Philippines, why there's so much awareness. In fact, in recent times, the Philippines are even claiming that the ocean literacy in the country is so reduced that it's at about 35% in one report I was reading. And I said 35% and they're complaining? I mean, I don't think we even have up to 5% ocean awareness. And we find this out when we go out through our Blue Economy TV to cover some of these maritime events, and we ask questions to people. And some of what we get in terms of responses will surprise you. The level of appreciation of our waters needs to expand, needs to be deepened. But for the Philippines, for them to produce about 25% of global seafaring human capacity, 25%, you need a very significant ocean literacy threshold in such a country, and you would expect the same. Now, we have such a massive coastline. What is our significant contribution in terms of global participation in the ocean or in the ocean space? We've got to begin to call our attention to these things from local to global, from local to global. So we need to look at what is moving in our ocean space, what needs to move faster, and where possible, what must never go unnoticed. There are things going on, we need to surface them. This opportunity or this platform is designed for us to have these conversations. So for today, we are looking at the theme Lagos Leads, an executive blueprint for Nigeria's blue economy. This is not an accident. Lagos is already showing the rest of Nigeria what can happen when urban planning, maritime governance, and a bold investment meets our waters. Lagos is doing that. We're seeing that last week there was the Omi Eko project. When I heard the name, I was wondering what it was going to be all about. But again, Lagos continues to surprise us, and truly, when this is implemented, I believe it will significantly change. I don't want to say change our landscape. Perhaps I can say change our seascape, or change our oceanscape, or change our waterscape. So from the Omi Eko project to the E1 powerboat race, which just placed Lagos on the global blue tourism map, we are witnessing a live transformation where waterways are not just wasted space, but economic space. And this is very important because for many years, we've continued to think that our waterways are just there, lying waste. But the narrative has to change. Our waterways are not just wasted space, but they must actually become economic space. One of my favorite trips, I think Russell would probably love me for saying this, a bit of marketing for one of my favorite cities in the world. Anytime I'm in the UK, I'd rather be visiting Southampton than staying in London. And I usually like to make this trip to the Isle of Wight every time. It never gets boring. And I'll encourage you to do it. For those of us Nigerians who travel a lot to the UK, don't just end your trip in London. It will change your worldview. So once I'm in Southampton, I go straight to the Red Funnel Ferry. I just buy my ticket, get on a cruise ship. It takes 1 hour or 1.5 hours to get on that ferry. And from Southampton to the Isle of Wight, about 1.5 hours. And then on my way back, I take a speedboat just to have a different experience. So on that ferry, you have people who live in Southampton, but they work on the Isle of Wight. So you have ferries that actually carry these vehicles. People drive in, park their vehicles, and then the vehicles are part of the trip across the waters. Once the journey starts, I go up to the open space on the ferry just to look at the sea, how it looks like. And my friends, what I see is always a beauty in how traffic actually flows seamlessly. What I see is the appreciation of the concept of how the sea lanes ought to look like. You find a lane for huge vessels that are transporting cargo. You find another lane for ferries. You find another lane for faster speed boats, all kinds. And you know what? The entire sea space is economically occupied, busy. Just the economics of that small watery space in the UK is so massive. Then I think of our own dear Lagos, from our marinas down to Ogun State, what the possibilities could become. And it is our hope that Mr. Emmanuel Oluwadamilola will move us in that direction with his conversation. I just thought that I'd chip that in. I never miss that trip. Every time I'm in the UK, except for the trips I made during my time working for NIMASA, because it never allowed me to leave London. I was stuck with the big men in London doing administrative work. But it's always fun to do personally for me. And then, of course, part of my Nigerian earned income converted to pounds gets to contribute its own quota towards fueling and sustaining the UK economy. Why not us? Why should it take us another 10 years? It shouldn't. We have to be in a hurry to make a difference using our waters. So that's why we're honored to be joined today by Mr. Emmanuel Oluwadamilola, the special advisor to the governor of Lagos State on the blue economy. He'll be bringing the real world policy pulse to today's Code Blue brief. Before I call him up, let me quickly run through his profile, and then I will yield the stage to him to take us through this very important discussion. So Mr. Emmanuel Oluwadamilola, he is a seasoned public sector leader with over 15 years of progressive experience in operations management, transportation planning, environmental sustainability, and public policy implementation. He currently serves as the special advisor to the governor of Lagos State on the blue economy, where he provides strategic leadership and policy direction for the sustainable development, regulation, and coordination of Lagos State's blue economy. His mandate spans multiple interconnected sectors, including maritime transport, aquaculture, ocean conservation, maritime biotechnology, fisheries, coastal and marine tourism, mineral resource development, offshore oil and gas, renewable ocean energy, we're talking about wind, tidal and wave, vessel building and repair, coastal protection, coastal waste management, biodiversity conservation, ocean development, and maritime infrastructure, as well as trade facilitation. I know Emmanuel very well because we worked very closely during my time serving in NIMASA. Emmanuel was then the general manager of the Lagos State Waterways Authority, known as LASWA, where he led transformative reforms that repositioned the agency as a model of safety, innovation, and efficiency in Nigeria's inland water transport system. And Lagos has proven to be quite stellar. We know that because it's been quite a while we heard of any major accidents in our water, especially in Lagos. Lagos has made some significant progress in achieving a high level of safety in its waters. Under his leadership, LASWA completed several modern ferry terminals, upgraded over 20 jetties across the state, and established West Africa's first waterways monitoring and data management center. He also successfully integrated United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, into LASWA's operational framework and pioneered the Cowrie card payment system, enabling seamless multimodal transport integration across Lagos. So this is blue economy activity here, and hopefully we're going to hear a bit more on that. Mr. Emmanuel also spearheaded the conceptualization and implementation of the OMI Eco project, and we're looking forward to that, Emmanuel, a comprehensive initiative designed to enhance waterway connectivity, modernize ferry operations, and promote sustainable maritime infrastructure across Lagos State. Through this and other projects, he has attracted substantial foreign investment and technical partnerships, including collaborations with the British and French governments, thereby accelerating the infrastructural and institutional development of the Lagos State waterways and the broader blue economy ecosystem. Emmanuel is a graduate of the University of Lagos and also holds a master's degree from the University of Hull. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're ready to listen to one man who has a lot to tell us. And let's be prepared to ask him questions because he's only a heartbeat away from the governor when it comes to the blue economy as it relates to Lagos State. And the argument is very simple. No matter the national level policy, it is going to take the subnationals as the front lines to implement and lead us to the realization as quickly as we possibly can of Nigeria's blue economy prospects. So, ladies and gentlemen, with a digital applause, let's welcome Mr. Emmanuel Oluwadamilola to take the stage. Emmanuel, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
You can hear me?
Absolutely, we can.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it's not my own internet because I think you were breaking while you were speaking. I'm just trying to make sure that it's not my internet. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, I was thinking, do I call you Dr. Ubong Ese, whether you're a doctor or not, you know, but I feel like, you know, in this space, you know, in this space, to be honest, you deserve to be called a doctor. Because of what you're doing. It's really a privilege to be amongst, you know, I see a lot of great minds here in this space, and I really honor and celebrate everybody. I'm a strong supporter of what you are doing. I'm really happy that the blue, you know, the Blue Economy Academy has started. And I'm so happy of this code blue. I look forward to receiving all of the communiques on a monthly basis. So I really, really celebrate with you. And I love something you said, and permit me to start from there, that, you know, we need to check the pulse of the blue, that I can actually just even think about being in this space. So thank you so much for having me on here today. Well, very simply, I'm just going to take us on a ride of where Lagos has been. There's so much to speak about, but of course, we have time constraints. So I believe very strongly that I'm going to go very, very straight to the point. And I hope that by the time I'm done with my presentation, I'll be able to convince you and not confuse you that, blue economy is truly the rise and tide of where Nigeria should really be looking at. So please, can I have the presentation, sir? Can I have the presentation up, sir?
All right, Kelly, could you bring up his presentation? Just a second, I'm bringing it up shortly.
Is he able to share?
Yes. You're sharing it to come up shortly.
Okay. I'll wait for it.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah, I think I'm seeing it come up. Okay, thank you so much. So yeah, I can see it. So Lagos Blue Renaissance, from sports and transport innovation to sustainable prosperity. Next slide, please. So I'm going to be taking us through who LASWA is, the E1 Lagos GP, the Omi Eco project, our current reality, challenges, and also opportunities. Next slide, please. So who really is LASWA? LASWA is a Lagos State government's agency. Was started in 2008 to regulate, develop, and manage all aspects of the waterways of Lagos State. What's our vision? Our vision is to transform Lagos. Our vision is to transform Lagos into a model city with world-class inland waterways infrastructure and services. And of course, our mission, how we're going to achieve this vision? By regulating and promoting the use of Lagos inland waterways, encourage sustainable investments, and develop a lasting water transport solution for the people of Lagos State. Sorry, there's a noise from, I don't know if who's I can hear some clicks. I don't know if it's only me, but I can hear some clicks. Okay.
One Mr. Tunji Agbara Joe, please mute.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think it's better now. Yeah, so really, this is Lagos, 25 million potential commuters. 22% of the current waters we have are lagoons and creeks. We provide an ample opportunity for us to do what we do with the inland waterways. 15 out of 20 local governments in Lagos are accessible by water. That's over 70% of the local government accessible by water, which shows you that obviously there's another opportunity there to be able to ensure that Lagos fully optimizes water transport space. And of course, we have about plus 140 kilometer navigable inland waterways. Next slide, please. So the E1 Lagos GP, what was that about and what did we do? The E1 race is the world's first all-electric powerboat championship hosted in Lagos in partnership with global stakeholders. Now, when they came about late last year, where it was made very clear that they wanted to come to Lagos to be able to ensure that they can hold this race in Lagos. And truth be told, and I like to be very honest here, a lot of people said, well, you can have this sort of thought, but we're not sure this is going to be possible, because all that everyone thought about was the challenges. The first of all said, oh, your water is too dirty. They said, oh, how would you limit people on the waterways? And they said all the things that they were going to say. But I believe all of that now is history, because we actually hosted this race and hosted it successfully so. However, I must quickly speak that one of the successes we've been able to record in Lagos State has been through collaboration. In my 10 years of being in LASFA, I've ensured that we've collaborated at all levels, whether at local, at state, and at national. And this has greatly, greatly helped Lagos be able to achieve this race. So we had 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, of this electric power boat race. The first day of Saturday was actually the championship, was actually the qualifying races, where we had several races. There were 9 teams, by the way. There were 9 different teams, of which one of the teams is actually owned by an African, Didier Drogba. So the team Drogba, that was one of these team, and Team Drogba and Afrexim Bank were actually the main people who ensured that this race came to Africa. They were very clear to the E1 team that if you haven't raced in Africa, then this race is not yet a success. So they ensured that and they told them there's only one place, if we're going to first of all race in Africa, it will be to come to Lagos. So they approached Lagos, and Lagos had to provide an enabling environment. We had to set up a local organizing committee that would help ensure the effective execution of this local boat race, local and international boat race. So one of the things we did even before the actual qualifying was on Friday, we had an opening ceremony. And what we did was we brought a bit of cultural flair into it. We made them see our boat regatta. Our boat regatta is a display of the cultural heritage of Lagos by the different divisions of the riverine communities in Lagos, who have different colors, from red to yellow. We made them do a wonderful parade, and then we had a parade of the boats themselves for everyone to see. And then the qualifying race was held on Saturday, and on Sunday as well, we had the finals. Now, across the entire divide of the 5 Carries Creek, what we had was viewing centers and also fan zones. So we can simply say from statistics that's gotten to us, over about 100,000 people were able to watch this boat race live. Of course, there were traffic restrictions on the waterways as well. We had put marine notices blocking out the particular places where the race was happening to ensure safety and security, and everything went on really smoothly. Also, we had to also deal with the waste on the waterways. We were able to block about 28 of the outlets of the drainages into the lagoon itself, and ensuring that we could pick up the waste as they were stuck at those drainage points as well. So we had the race very successfully, and the whole plan is to have it for the next 4 years. Also, we hope in Lagos, but we're very, very hopeful that they're going to come back in because they're very excited. They loved what they saw. They also like the after race events because Lagos likes to as well turn it up, and I think they also like that aspect of being able to see musical performances and also have some kind of drama performances as well. But yeah, and those kind of things. Next slide, please. So moving on to the Omi Eco project. Permit me at this point in time to just give a brief background. As we speak in Lagos, about 90% of water transportation in Lagos is largely driven by the informal sector. We currently move on a monthly basis about 1.5 to say 2 million people averagely on a monthly basis, which you can say is about 10% of the population on a monthly basis. If we were to look at the daily rate, we can say somewhere around 70,000 to 100,000 people. That's still a small fraction for a transportation aspect that offers access to 15 out of the 20 local governments. So what has the state government decided to do? The state government has decided under the head of the governor of Lagos State to ensure that we have what we call multimodal transport in Lagos, where you can simply have not just the road transportation working, but also we have the rail and the water. And we've seen it with the rail. The blue line has been launched. The red line has also been launched. All the blue line and red line even been expanded going into phase 2. And we're actually about to see the green line, which is from the VI axis all the way down to the Lekki Free Trade Zone, which will help decongest Lekki Ekpe Expressway as well. So the missing part in all of this, of course, is water transportation space. For the longest time, we've been doing our best to create the enabling environment to attract sustainable investment, as you can see, which was one of the things we put in our mission, that we wanted to be able to attract sustainable investment. So AFD, Agency for Friend Development, had apparently been watching over the years at what had LASWA been doing, because one of the things we were able to do was to ensure that Lagos becomes a safe haven for water transport. Prior to 7 years ago, about 7 years ago, we used to have constant accidents on the waterways in Lagos, averagely 8 to 10. As we speak today, we're averaging just maybe 1 to 2 in a year. But what we really want to get to is about 0 accidents on our waterways every year. So what is this investment really going to do? This investment is a 410 million euros investment in the water transport space. That was what we did a groundbreaking for last Friday, that Mr. Obong Essien spoke about. So the 410 million euros is going to be used to dredge 140 kilometer of the navigable inland waterways. 25 ferry terminals and jetties will be constructed with connection to the road networks. 10 of these terminals will be equipped with electric production and charging infrastructure, because the whole idea is to ensure that these ferries that we're bringing in are going to be hybrid electric ferries. One, to reduce carbon emissions, and two, to be able to manage the whole idea of fuel subsidy, which has greatly affected the current operators who largely use petrol engines. 2 terminals were equipped with routine vessel maintenance facilities. 70 of these vessels, which I mentioned, will be catamarans of 50 passengers, 130 passengers, and 400 passengers. The commercial speed will be about 30 kilometers per hour. Financial sustainability with no or limited operational subsidy, because the whole idea is to front load it with all of the capital infrastructure already built, and an ITS system to support efficient and modern operations. And very importantly is the last point there, a fund for the vessel industry transition program. This was something we learned as well from the road transport with the bus systems. When the BRTs were going to start, they had no sort of fund to help even the downfalls, and it became resistance to change. But along the line, they had to introduce a scheme that also accommodated the downfalls who formed themselves into cooperatives and could actually come into the BRT system. So we learned from the road transportation and are starting early. That even as we start the project, that's even the first phase of the project, which obviously we've done a groundbreaking for, is to look at how to also inculcate and incorporate this informal sector who form the largest part of this project. So that's exactly what this project is going to do. It's a 6-year project, with the first phase to be launched in the next 2 years, and then we will be taking it from there. And of course, it's going to go across the various divide of the entire landscape of waterways in Lagos State. Next slide, please. Next slide. So, what are some of the things we're able to do that help us attract this investment? Because let me also say and touch on one point which I just missed even with the investment. The investment is a mix of a loan and a grant, so it's blended financing, right? So 300 of it is a loan. 300 million euros is a loan. 60 million is a grant from the EU. There's a counterpart funding from Lagos State of 40 million, and there's also a 10 million with the private sector is also meant to put into this to invest in the ITS system so they can get their money back as well. But how were we able to get here? Because it wasn't always like this. We introduced a floating clinic, which was able to carry out hospital services to riverine communities and hard to reach areas who had no access to health. We revamped our search and rescue units. So in terms of emergencies, when I initially started in LASWA, they used to respond to emergencies. It would take them 15, 20 minutes. I'm sure you and I know that when there's an emergency on the waterways, it will be done in no time. So we're able to enhance our search and rescue units by setting up 2 units made up of 20 personnel, and also purchase infrastructure, jet skis, rescue boats, a modern device called a USAFE device, which you also see as well. And this has helped us reduce our response time by more than almost 70-80% from what it used to be. So now in the next in almost 3 to 5 minutes, we can respond to any emergencies really quickly. We also increased our water guards officers. These are the people who ensure that you wear your life jackets. I'm sure you know Lagos is very strict on wearing life jackets, and that compliance level is quite high for us in Lagos. The water guards used to be 48, but I realized that this was not sufficient. And I'm glad that the governor approved for us to increase this number from 48 to 108, which has helped us drastically reduce the amount of accidents we're also seeing. We believe that is one of the critical factors that has really helped us, because these personnel are constantly trained year after year with several kinds of training, even to help them meet international best practices. Also, we set up the very first of its kind, a waterways monitoring and data management center, a control room situated right there in Falomo, which is helping us begin to gather real-time data. It's also helping us be able to monitor the waterways, monitor the waterways 24/7 to know exactly everything that's going on and be able to report any safety or security issues. In a few areas, we've also been able to deploy navigational aids, but I must admit here, we've had a lot of issues with these navigational aids because of other users of the waterways, from the dredgers to the cargo barge operators to fishermen. We have all kinds of people who have not understood the proper use of these buoys and have either, we've had them boggled, we've had them moved from their locations, we've had all kinds of issues, even with this navigational aid system. Next slide, please. I mentioned the USAFE. So what is the USAFE? The USAFE is basically a U-shaped device. And in case of any emergency, it's an electronically controlled device. In case of any emergency, you can deploy it as far as 2.5 kilometers to go and rescue people who may be in distress on the waterways. So that's it you see on the far left. We also realize that a lot of people, what actually makes them, there's a large phobia for water transportation, not only in Lagos, but generally in Nigeria. So we said it's important that we also introduce what we call a water skill. And this is introduced by the Water Savvy Kids. So what we've been doing is training kids across the divide of public schools in Lagos State. It's a 2-week program where we enable them to learn how to swim. We teach them about the waters. We also let them know the culture of ensuring that they don't also, pollute the waterways as well. We also carry out constant safety awareness campaigns to ensure that these safety awareness campaigns around life jacket wearing, around safe boat practices, and we also donate life jackets. These life jackets sometimes are purchased by the state, some other times are given by private companies. So we use our they're given by private companies use them as CSR. And we also have drones that can help us monitor the waterways and can also help us be able to, and is deployed in the case of any occurrence that we've noticed on the waterways and want to see what probably is going on there. Next slide, please. So, looking at this picture, and this is one of my favorite pictures that have helped me. When I started out in LASWA, the very first picture on the left side, which you see with the water hyacinths, is a banana boat, and those are the boats that currently I said are 90% of what we currently have. So what did the state government do? The state government partnered with Caverton Marine Services, who built the very first of its kind, a boat conceptualized in Lagos, built in Lagos, and currently being used in Lagos. Now, the banana boats, as we speak today, there are about 375 operators with about 752 of these boats. So if you were to do your numbers quite well, if you look at the middle picture of the omnibus, we'll probably need about 100 or 150 omnibuses to have any kind of effect. But as we speak today, the state government, through funding from Access Bank, has only been able to purchase 25 of the omnibus ferries, which are 40 passenger boats, which we want to use to begin to refleet and revamp our water transportation space. You and I know that if we go at that rate, we'll probably be like Mr. Obong said, maybe another 10 years we'll still be dragging along, which is where the Omeko comes in to be a game changer. So on the far right are the boats we'll be expecting, or sort of like a replica of what we're expecting with the Omeko vessels, and which have various passenger capacity, like I mentioned, 50, 120, and even 400 passengers as well. And of course, the whole idea is to have an integrated transportation service. The state government is currently building two major interchanges in Mile 2 and Marina, which will have bus, rail, and water all connecting at the same point so that you can easily access any one of them to be able to move from point A to point B. But very critically is to think about things around environmental sustainability. We can see even in the news recently, there's been a lot of activity around, a lot of issues around water hyacinth. Currently, as we speak, we had to shut down one of our major jetties in Ikorodu because the water hyacinth infestation this year has been massive. But what has the state government been doing all this year? We partnered with an NGO called Mitimeth, who transforms the water hyacinth into marketable products. They into art and craft products. They turn it into things like mats and coasters. And I'd love to share some of these pictures even later on as well. I'll do that as well. But we also found out there's also another use of the water hyacinth where it can be transformed into what they call biochar. Biochar is sort of like a manure used in farms, and even biofuels. But we've not gotten to the idea. We've not gotten to the partnership of biofuels. They were simply doing the biochar, and this one I mentioned, which is Mitimeth, who transforms these things into art and craft material that people can even use in their houses. Next slide, please. So what are our challenges? What are the challenges we've had and we continue to see? But if you notice, we've made these challenges look like, I've made them into sort of like hurdles. And what do you do with hurdles? You climb over those hurdles. So as we speak, we're constantly climbing over those hurdles, while at the same time, we recognize that they are still there, but we're able to deal with them as best as we can. There's been low public awareness and patronage, and of course, behavioral resistance with using water transportation, inadequate funding for large-scale ferry infrastructure, of which the OMECO is going to solve, jurisdictional overlaps. We've had issues with NIWA, we've had issues with several, federal bodies as well, but we're finding ways to work together. Environmental and climate threats, of course. Poor integration with land transport system, which obviously the Lagos State is trying to resolve now with, ensuring that adjoining roads to jetties and terminals are well motorable. And of course, large unreported and limited data for decision making. Next slide, please. So what are the opportunities? Of course, increased revenue generation, because inland water transport is just one subsector of the blue economy. Economic creation, employment and economic diversification, livelihood support, of course, innovation and technological adoption, regional and international collaboration, and of course, public-private partnerships. Next slide, please. Well, I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you about what Inland Waterways has been doing in Lagos and will continue to do. Please, if you permit me, just have one short video to just show you. I don't know if Mr. Obon can share that video. It's a video of the E1 boat race, just to show you just a clip of what it was like experiencing the E1 in Lagos. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. I'm sure the video will come up. Is it coming up already?
It's coming up already. It's coming up already.
Do we have
yes.
the audio? I'm not sure we can get. Is the audio? Kelly, you might want to check and be sure that the audio is. Well, I hope you're also prepared for some questions. Emmanuel, your presentation has raised a couple of questions. I've received a couple, and I see that there might be others who would like to ask the question directly.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I'm good with the video. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all for me. I'll be willing to take questions at this point in time.
All right. I'm going to. Is the video? Can we have the video fully with the audio?
It's okay. It's okay if I'm not able to. Don't worry. We can always share with everyone. They can watch it on
Yes.
their own. So you can always share with them, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Oluwadamilola. Please let's put our hands together for him. Virtually, I have already seen the virtual claps from Aliyu Umar, Joshua Maha. Thank you very much for that wonderful discussion. So here on Code Blue, what your role is, you've just started a discussion. On Code Blue, we don't really see our invited guests as lecturers or speaker in that real sense. This is a discussion and we're checking the pulse of our ocean space, focusing on Lagos because in the past 2 to 3 months, Lagos has actually dominated most of the conversations regarding activities in our waters. I'm going to read the first question that I have here, and others will come in, and it's based on your presentation.
Madam, good morning. Yes, sir.
And it's based on your presentation. Could we have, please, I'd like us all to remain muted. Thank you. So there's a question here about the E1 Lagos GP legacy. As you know, typically, there's always the photo op dimension to most of these initiatives, where it looks good, it's exciting, the razzmatazz, and all of that pomp and pageantry associated with novel initiatives such as this. And you've mentioned that it's likely to be back next year and for the next 4 years. That does sound like some good news. But the question I ask here says, the E1 race was a success in enhancing Lagos's global maritime image. And I'm sure we can agree with this as a fact. But beyond inspiring youth interests, we would like to know what are the 2 most measurable commercial outcomes from the race, specifically in terms of new private sector investment in both manufacturing, waterside tourism infrastructure. What we want to know is that after all said and done, was this another moment of excitement, Lagos being in the spotlight, or was this another Eko for show moment? How does this tie practically into blue economic expectations? So that's the first question. I think we'll leave you to answer that first while we collate the others.
Okay. Thank you very much. And you're very right. That's a very, very valid question. And let me just put it out there first of all. This was no just an echo for show. Because the whole idea behind E1 in the first place is to speak about, they were very big on sustainability. And the whole idea of the electric boat race spoke to sustainability and innovation. So one of the things that we're very interested in was that where are the current local boat operators today in Lagos? And how are they going to get to even experience what they were coming to come and watch and see? So one, we inculcated them into the whole experience and being able to see the future of where they are going, even with their own boats. Remember, I mentioned that we're moving gradually to electric boats. That's the first thing. Secondly, there were youth activations. Youth activations for the youth to understand the innovation behind electric boats. And these youth activations were sort of like STEM activations where they had extensive sessions with the technicians of these boats, because the whole E1 team, there were about 250 of them who came into Lagos to make sure that the whole boat race succeeded. So these technicians had extensive 2-day sessions with about, I think it was about 100 youth, exposing them to the mechanics and the techniques of all that we saw. Thirdly, a lot of the places which also housed the activities around the boat race. So I give an example, a Black Diamond, right, which was the main place where the boats were parked. We saw a lot of activities in Black Diamond in the sense that there were a lot of people who Black Diamond also had to employ in this process as well to make sure that all of these 250 guests, were well sorted and were happy. There were lots of also infrastructure which was built along the waterways to be able to accommodate the fan zones and also the viewing centers. So what am I saying? So local companies benefited from a lot of all the activities because most of the suppliers were all local all local suppliers. And also, they also got some of our marine personnel to also work with them in putting up the boats together. So yes, it put us on the global map, but then it affected Lagos economically because, of course, bars, restaurants all made a lot of revenue. There was employment, local employment, and most especially for the local boat operators, they got that exposure to understanding what the future looks like, even for them. So let me just stop there, sir, before I go on and go on. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that response. I think we still have, there are some other questions here. I see here, Amidu Abubakar has a question for you. I don't know, Emmanuel, I'm sure you can see these questions.
Yes, I can see it. I can see it. I can see this one.
So,
Hamidu. Yeah.
Yes, there's Amidu. I think let's take it.
Go back up.
Let's take it.
Okay, go back
How
up.
is Lagos State collaborating with other states on this wonderful aspects? Ali Umar.
Yes, let me take that. Let me take that. So Ali Umar, thank you for that question. You see, one of the things we've done, one of the things I've been able to do, and I'll be very honest, the major success of LASWA today, if we've recorded any kind of success, because obviously we still feel like we're scratching the surface, has been collaboration at state level. I've collaborated extensively with over 15 agencies, be it in cleaning, be it in providing infrastructure, whatever it is you want to name, in all areas. I've had to partner, and I've been very intentional because I believe that two heads are better than one, right? What we've also done is create a blueprint for what a water transport agency should be like in any state. And as we speak to date, we've had about 8 states come and learn from Lagos. That how have you set up this agency? What is it doing? We've had extensive sessions with them, sometimes 2-3 day sessions. But we tell them, I make it very clear, you must be ready to make the necessary investments to ensure that you have a thriving waterways agency in your state. And I think that for a lot of them, a lot of the time, it's usually that initial capital investment they need to make is where a lot of them get stuck and they've not been able to move forward. But we've had a number of them come and learn from Lagos, and Lagos is always willing to lend that helping hand to support them in setting this up. So that's what we've been doing with the state government in that aspect. Okay, Dr. should try. Okay, meet governor requirement. Okay.
Emmanuel, let me just quickly.
That's okay.
Before we go to the next question, I think that this question highlights a very important value of actually collaborating much more concretely. I know that, and I've learned this from experience, that you really cannot get anything meaningful done in the maritime space without collaboration. No matter how rich you are, no matter the amount of resources at your disposal. At NIMASA, we learned that we had all the money, if I could put it that way, all of the resources, but a lot of the major successes, especially in regards to maritime security, warranted the necessity of pulling everyone in the same direction, getting buy-in, getting support. So I'm very pleased that you've repeatedly gone back to that good old reliable word, that terminology that defines what happens at sea, collaboration, whether it's in security, and we have achieved success as a nation in that regard, because from the recent reports, it's now exactly 3 years since any major piracy occurrence in our waters. Now we must transfer or translate that same collaborative mentality into the actual economics of our seas, of our oceans, which is what the Blue Economy Experience of Value is about. And I would want to suggest or bring this up. There's a collaboration between the port of, between New York and New Jersey. They actually cooperate a port administration. Now, wouldn't that be something, a template in its most basic states? What, considering by Lagos State, especially with the next door neighbor Ogun State, this is just us putting this out there in this code blue space to say you never can tell. We have to begin to think very big, very, very big, and we need to collaborate in massive ways and not just take this, in small measures. We don't have the time any longer. We can't wait for another 10 years to actually develop our ocean resources. We've got to think big, act big, engender as much support and participation across the board as much as possible, such that if Lagos State were to carry Ogun State along in a very strong partnership around a regional conceptualization of how to work together, maybe there could be something there. That's what I wanted to quickly chip in. Please, you can take the next question.
Okay, thank you so much. You're very right, and I've made a note of that point. Sometimes if you want to get things done, you as well be the first to, you want to offer help, but sometimes you still have to be the one that will reach out with that help. So I've made a note of that. Yeah. So you said I've seen a question, even though it was a comment initially from Olamide Odusoya. It says, "What collaboration do you have with NIMASA?" Well, NIMASA specifically regarding one. Training of personnel. We've partnered with them in the past in terms of our personnel. We can't certify personnel. We rely on NIMASA to help certify the personnel. And to be honest, even on this Omieko project, we had to get sort of like their sign off, because the boats that were coming in, we had to ensure that, they will be flagged Nigerian flags, and then will not be, in any way impeding any of the cabotage laws as well. But of course, there's still a lot more we intend to do in NIMASA, but that's what we've done in the initial space with NIMASA. Let me see. Okay, so this is Hamidu Abubakar said, what specific multi-layered security strategy is being implemented to protect passengers, operators, and infrastructure from criminal activities? Okay, so first of all, in terms of security, we I won't say we're limited, but we work with we work with Marine Police. And also NIWA, Marine Police, and also the Navy in terms of security. So we heavily rely on them and collaborate with them to provide security for all our existing operators and passengers. So that's what we do in terms of security. How is LASWA actively supporting the existing small-scale boat operators and local fishermen transitioning into modernized blue economy rather than simply replacing them? You remember I mentioned this in the present. I just mentioned this now in the presentation. We have what we call a fund. It's called the VITP, Vessel Industry Transition Program, And the whole idea is to give options, especially for the routes that are going to affect these local boat operators and even local. We don't deal with fishermen. Fishermen are dealt by Ministry of Agri, but in terms of the local boat operators, is to incorporate them into the system. One. Secondly, is to also help them transition from their current boats that they have to our own OMI buses, which we have recommended currently. So that's what we're doing. We're working with them to form cooperatives, and then we can help them transition their boats accordingly. This one says it's heartwarming to learn the step Lagos are taking to protect water. I'm looking forward to most of it. You can also incorporate a water museum. Thank you so much for that. That is noted. Given the measures already in place, okay, how does it reconcile this gap? Okay, sorry, let me read that properly. Given the measures already in place to enhance safety and rescue operations on waterways, including emergency response protocols, we continue with instances where fishermen and local communities are spearheading rescue missions, often a great personal risk. Some of them demand money before the rescue. How does the administration reconcile this gap between the policy intent? Well, you're very right. So we usually have had to work with them as first responders. That's for them. But wherever we've noticed this issue, we've had to swiftly move in, which is why for us we've now expanded our team from 1 to now increase that to 2. And we plan to increase it to 3 because we want to make sure we cover the east, west, and central parts of Lagos. Right now, we have them in the central and the western side, but we want to actually expand them to the eastern side as well, so that we can be able to cover and be the quickest to get to any of those points. They say, are there plans to strengthen coordination with local stakeholders, improve infrastructure? Yeah, I think I've addressed that as well. So I'll address all the questions, sir. Hello, Mr. Obong. I've addressed all the questions, sir.
All right, I have one here. Just a second. I have one that we're getting questions on safety.
Okay.
On safety. And the question is, what is the average response time during emergencies from LASMA within Lagos waters? Whenever there is a boat mishap.
Yes.
Because you talked about a monitoring center in terms of what happens in our waters. Now, what is the guaranteed average emergency response time from the moment a distress call is received to when the search and rescue squad reaches the distressed vessel on the most busy routes? Take Ikorodu Marina.
Yes, thank you so much. So prior to now, it used to be about 20 minutes and above. But right now, like I mentioned, we're able to bring that down to between 5 to 7 minutes. So for us, we work currently with 5 to 7 minutes, which obviously dovetails between 7 and 8 sometimes, but between 5 to 7 is the time we've also set for ourselves to be able to respond to any emergency, sir.
All right, thank you very much for that. Let's see if we have any other questions here. Are there plans? I think you've answered this one. Are there plans to strengthen coordination with local stakeholders and improve infrastructure to address?
I've addressed that, sir.
All right, it's taken from Mrs. Shuemimo. Okay, now there is one here, and I would try not to, it carries a bit of politics. It says, I suggest Ubon Isian. Now, whoever is putting that doctor there, no thanks to Emmanuel this morning, should try all he can to meet with the governor of Akwa Ibom and Cross River regards the blue economy. I really appreciate his ideology. Now, I think that, and Emmanuel, this has to be something that will encourage you to lead. Lagos State has always been the center of excellence and the lead states when it comes to initiatives, when it also comes to actual institutionalization of ideas, of movements, you name it. Lagos has always been there. Take, for instance, Lagos is a very good model when it comes to security architecture. A good example is the Lagos State Security Trust Fund that was launched almost 2 decades ago. That's a good example. And it has become a model for virtually all the other states. I think till this very moment, some states are still launching their own security trust funds. Now, I believe that Lagos has to play some leadership role from the governor with his peers, the other 7 governors across the littoral states. If you remember, during our time in Nimasa, we took it upon ourselves when Dr. Jamo was the DG to visit all of the governors across the 8 littoral states. Kelly, could you please check and mute whoever is unmuted? Kelly, please check and mute whoever is unmuted. Thank you. And so we're able to visit the governors, and of course we came to Lagos as well. So now that Lagos is truly making the necessary investments in the blue economy, I think that conversation must also be led by Lagos State at the subnational level amongst the governors of the littoral states. So, like you said, that sometimes you have to reach out to the people you want to help. And that is the price of leadership. That's what leadership is about. That's why this conversation is themed Lagos Leads. So Lagos has to shoulder a significant portion of that burden. For instance, we should have an arrangement that brings the littoral states together. Lagos is leading. Let it not just be that Lagos becomes just an oasis of excellence surrounded by a ton of other states or critical entities, state actors in particular, who are not making significant progress. In the end, it won't all go well because the beauty of the blue economy is in its ripple effect value. Lagos starts it, Ogun State keys in, there's a Delta State, there's Ondo State. Ondo has a lot of comparative seagoing advantages compared to other states. Ondo is unique in that sense. But perhaps it might take a handshake across the states, across the waters, in a way that actually can rub off on Lagos. So these are some of the things that we need now. That's why we are actually on code blue. It's an alert system to say, let's become much more purposeful and let's find a way to carry others. Let Lagos be that rising tide that lifts all boats in this case, meaning all the other states, to challenge them, to ginger them into saying, wait a minute, there's so much to drive our economic prospects and fortunes in our waters. And so that is going to be a very important message that I urge you from this platform to take, urging you to be like the trim tab. In aviation, there's what is called the trim tab when it comes to the rudder, both in aviation and in maritime. It's that small invisible rudder that actually influences the bigger rudder to drive the ship. So sometimes it is the role that someone like you plays. I functioned in a similar role for 3 years, and I know that it was invisible influence. So we're honored that you could make out the time, and personally appreciated that you were willing to do this. And don't say I invited you to come and discuss, and now we're giving you more work to do. But then that is leadership. So that is my thinking. I see a few more hands have come up, so we'll take those. Please, the intention was not to prevent you from speaking. There was a hand up. I don't know, the hand appears to have gone down again, but that's my take in all of this as we move forward, because we don't have time anymore as a nation. We've been far behind as far as this is concerned. Let's see if we have some more questions. I see here Dr. Joshua Maha says, Thanks so much for the excellent presentation. I trust there's a robust collaboration with the health and medical agencies to handle emergencies. Do you want to respond to that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, we had a lot of issues, but we had to partner with Las Sambos. So we now have Las Sambos officials as strategic positions on the waterways. So yeah, it's very right. We partner heavily. You know, I mentioned collaboration. That's one of the agencies in Lagos that we work with, Las Sambos. So the whole idea is that, of course, immediately the boat can get the people up to shore, even though ahead of the time, the Las Sambos officials will go with our rescue teams to be able to carry out, of course, what you call, like, I guess, is first help. And then when they get onto land, they can carry out the necessary help that's required, or move them to the closest hospital as well that may be required. So yes, we work actively with Las Sambos in Lagos State.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I still have Olamide Odusanya. Okay, I hope it's this. I only know of one Olamide Odusanya. I'm sure she's the one of my favorite persons, a woman of excellence I worked with during my time in NIMASA. She says, I'm glad to see the implementation of marine and blue economy in Lagos State, proving again that it is truly the center of excellence. Yes, Mrs. Odusanya, and of course, I know you're also a Lagosian, so I know you would like to blow the trumpet of Lagos as well. So thank you for that. All right, I think so far we've seen all of the questions, and I'm hoping we've not omitted anyone. Please, if anyone would like to say one or two things, want to open the floor now. We'll take 30-second remarks, contributions, observations. This is Code Blue. We're taking a pulse of Ocean.
Yes, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir, and the
Please
moderators of
introduce
this
yourself.
program this morning.
All right, introduce
Okay,
yourself.
my name is Emmanuel Nnamoko. I just joined this morning, and it's the first time of knowing about the blue economy. Quick one, I just want to ask, is there any opportunity, because I'm based in Abuja, is there any opportunity like for the young ones like me who are looking for employment? Is there any opportunity for us? An avenue for employment? That's just what I want to ask. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you for all the moderators that put their quota on the development of the blue economy. That's the question I have this morning. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel is talking about, you're based in Abuja. And by the way, there is a Jabi Lake in Abuja. And, I think that one of the things we need to understand about the blue economy is essentially without necessarily being too fixated on the highfalutin grammatical terminology called blue economy. It's just the economics of our water. And it's not just about our coastal states alone, but the inland corridor states as well, the inland waterways. That's why Nigeria has about 10,000 kilometers of inland waterways. So there is blue economy as well, inland. So the Jabi Lake, for instance, I think it's a conversation worth having. Maybe we will set aside a Code Blue to discuss it so that those in Abuja don't think that we're just talking purely about the 8 coastal states and states that actually have rivers flowing through them. So Emmanuel, do you want to have a go with regards to his question on employment possibilities, maybe from the standpoint of how the Lagos Waters provides this?
Well, yes, of course, there will be opportunities as the project hits its first phase, which I said is going to be in 2 years. Prior to now, all we're trying to get on board are strategic positions in terms of being able to implement the project itself. So this is a highly technical position, but in terms of what he's referring to, I believe that in about 2 years, to look out for the employment opportunities which will be posted across, I guess, several maritime platforms. And of course, we'll be looking to see how the Blue Economy Academy as well, can be involved in this as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that, Emmanuel. I appreciate that. So
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
all right, okay, good morning.
Yeah, I'm Barrister Yakubu Adamu Yakubu from NITT Zaria.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate the coordinator of the online program. It's a good one. But we at NITT, I was thinking as an institute that deals with multimodal transport, probably we need to start thinking of collaborating with the academy on the blue economy, because NITT as of today is expanding very well, and we have a lot of maritime faculties, and we have a lot of students that are undergoing things to do with blue economy and maritime. Even as of yesterday, one of our directors, Dr. Odele, was in Nimasa still to start talking about some collaborations and partnership. So if the academy, probably after the presentation, we can get the coordinator's number and start chatting so that we can see possibilities of collaborating with the academy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakubu. I think that this is very important. We explore every means of collaboration. We will share, we will add you NITT Zaria. This is the first time we're having NITT Zaria on this call. This is our fourth meeting, and we're very pleased to have you. And we will add you to our list for the distribution of the communique, so that you will get to stay abreast with what it is that we're doing, and we can from there explore means of collaboration, because that's the key word. We've got to find ways to connect and collaborate, and there's no way the blue economy can be successful without transportation. Transportation is a key inclusion bucket as far as the blue economy is concerned. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And then, of course, you should be reaching out to Lagos State as well. And I remember, for instance, and I hope Emmanuel is still with us. I remember, for instance, during one
of
those visits to the governor of Lagos State. All right, I'll come to Admiral Agada after this. Let me finish my thought. Admiral, please stay with us. And I'm glad, I thought you left. It's good that you're here, because your thoughts on security would be very helpful. One of the things during the visit, the Blue Economy Tour, as we called it back then, when the master visited Lagos State, I remember Governor Sanwo-Olu, he was still governor, thankfully, mentioned something. There was a request, and I think that Lagos can look into it again, that look, why don't we play a role in manpower development or capacity development? And the governor specifically hinted on the possibility of Lagos perhaps serving as a satellite campus to the Maritime Academy of Nigeria, Oron. We have the space, we have the manpower. I mean, we have everything in Lagos that we're not competing with Oron. No, we're saying, look, make Lagos a satellite campus, and we'll be more than happy to provide the space, provide the place, provide the infrastructure, provide the facility. That was an opportunity for a very good handshake. Again, we're talking about collaboration. Because the sea is so vast, and because the sea is so deep, there has to be collaboration across sectors, multitudinal spaces, multitudinal dimensions to how we collaborate. It doesn't have to take any specific shape or form. We have to collaborate. So, Emmanuel, that's another headache for you. You might want to go back to that meeting and look at it. But I remember that the governor did mention that, to say, look, this is a low-hanging fruit. I can give you a space, I can give you a place. We can help with expanding the manpower base for the maritime sector, for the blue economy space.
Yeah.
Make us a satellite.
Definitely. This is well taken on board. And thank you so much for that. I will take that on board.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have Admiral Agada. Admiral Agada, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Albon, for putting up this Code Blue. That's actually very, very vital. And after each episode or during each episode, one sees the importance of having such a discourse. And having said that, let me heartily congratulate Mr. Emmanuel for your presentation and the commendable effort of Lagos State government. And I will say again, like many have said, it's no wonder that Lagos is called the center of excellence. I think that is what is at play. I will just speak to one of the areas because the Omieko project is actually like giving an answer to one of the key discussions we had in the Code Blue 3 last month, where we talk about the enormous possibilities of maritime transport within Lagos on what it can do and nation Nigeria. I think what you have mentioned about this Omieko project is a very commendable effort by the state government. I just want to ask, though I believe the answer is obvious, but just to be sure, that I know Lagos State government has been a state that most of our projects have always been consistent, irrespective of the person in the office. But I just want to be sure that this Omieko project is well put in place with safeguards to ensure its continuity after the tenure of the current governor, because I know it will have been pioneered personally by him. But are there safeguards to ensure that this laudable project will continue beyond his tenure? And also, another area that I want you to react to is I felt really, really, let me say, bad when you talked about the challenges, especially in the area of bureaucracy challenges with other government agencies. When we have a policy on blue economy, is it that the policy have not streamlined how these various agencies should be able to work with the subnationals? And in that particular instance, I want you to really address the concern I have. Have those challenges been well addressed? Because such a laudable project should not just be faced with challenges at this time. Rather, there should be a lot of encouragement from other government agencies because of the enormous potential it has for building the national economy. So is there need for maybe policy adjustments to ensure that you really have the encouragement that you need from the federal agencies especially? Because hearing that you're having challenges with other agencies of government really does not sit well with me. And then lastly, I want to know, yes, you have a plan and it's a good plan now. What are the future? Do you have plans for expansion beyond the immediate transport, which is a big potential, just the normal transport challenge to be addressed within Lagos State? Are there plans to expand this to maybe leisure boats to other states where the collaboration with other state governments can come in handy? Are there such plans for the future when this actually takes effect strongly? So thank you once again for the effort, and I wish this project a very, very massive success, because it's really going to be a game changer in Lagos State. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Admiral. So, Mr. Oluwadamilola, the stage is yours. The Admiral has raised. Yes. I'm surprised the Admiral did not raise security issues. Maybe because you commended the Navy as partnering with you regularly. So no security issues, and it's a good time to really celebrate maritime in Nigeria because we have some peace. All right, over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Please, can be Yakubu mute? Yakubu is speaking.
Where's Yakubu?
Yeah.
Sorry, sir, I'm not.
Well, you're speaking, sorry, I hear your voice. Okay. So,
Oh,
sir, thank
sorry,
you
sir.
so much, Admiral Lagada. Thank you so much, for that. I thought your first question will be around security, but like I said, I guess I already addressed it and I already gave the Navy hours because truly, the Navy have been very supportive for us in Lagos inland waterways. So you spoke about safeguards for the project. Yeah, you're very right. That's a risk, a potential risk, for us. But the good thing about it is that the AFD, who is the principal partner of this project, has been working with Lagos for the past 20 years. So subsequent administrations have worked with them extensively. And I don't think that anybody who's coming wants to then end a relationship that is working for Lagos. A lot of the BRT you've seen in Lagos were also supported by AFD. And this is another area that I'm expanding onto as well for us. And truth be told, is that yes, there's a clear implementation plan. Secondly, one of the things that also help guarantee sustainability is also the stakeholder involvement. There's a huge stakeholder involvement in this project as well, which obviously is holding, the government accountable, and the government wants to ensure that, both operations, which has suffered a lack of investment all these past almost 30, 40 years, can finally get the kind of support it should get. So I would say, well, on the side of government, those are the safeguards. On the side of stakeholders are the safeguards. Yes, when I mentioned jurisdictional challenges, remember I mentioned as a hurdle, and we see ourselves as jumping over it. The policy has really helped. And I want to just say that, look, right now, we've had it better than it used to be a few years ago before the policy came into place. So just to address those your fears of what the challenges are, but the policy has actually helped, be able to guide us. But of course, it's really to the implementation, and it's to ensure that at the end of the day, when you see something that's good that's happening, you should just want to be a part of it, and not think why them and why not us. Then you spoke about plans for expansion. For expansion will be, of course, to cover the other areas, the very few areas which this project will not have covered once it gets to its full completion in 6 years. But then beyond that is to also introduce interstate travel. You've mentioned the whole idea of collaborative. Our plan is that once we can sort out what's going on within Lagos and improve those services, the whole idea is then to begin to go to neighboring states. So Ogun, Ondo, Akwa Ibom, Calabar, begin to, also be able to plan those trips even by water. And also to be able to increase and move agricultural produce and waste by the waterways. This is something we're currently researching in Lagos, and there's nothing stopping us from moving our waste because especially the recycling locations are the far ends of town. You have them in Ekpe, you have in Ikorodu, so it's easy to move those waste there, have them recycled, and of course, you can then do whatever you want to do from that point. But when the next phase for us is to also move our waste and also our agricultural produce by the waterways. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for that very robust response. And it shows that there is a lot ahead of us as a nation, as a people, and the possibilities are just endless. And if there's anything that makes the blue economy even more exciting, is the fact that it is renewable, it is also sustainable. It is renewable because the more we engage with the blue space, the more we realize there's so much more to be gotten out of it. So I thank you very much for that. What I want to quickly do, if there is no other question with the last 10 minutes that we have, I will just run through what we call our Blue for You. Every month, we do a quick read through some of what has occurred in the previous month in the blue economy space. Let me see if I can quickly put up that slide. And I hope it is visible for all to see. We call it Blue for You. The reason why we call it Blue for You is because we believe that the blue economy has to bear relevance to the average person. We all must understand that the sea affects us all. At the end of the day, even the World Bank, despite its commanding heights regarding all financial subject matters, had to come down to the level of you and I in terms of defining the blue economy. And so we want to quickly go through this bits and pieces of information with regards to what's been happening in the marine and blue economy in the last 1 month. So we'll run through this. First, let's see, as it is our tradition, we remind ourselves of 853. That's our buzzword here, 853 kilometers of coastline with so much possibilities. And we need to do a lot with it. And right now we're marking 3 years of piracy-free waters. It's a major security milestone for us, and it's something worth celebrating. But again, that by itself should not be all that we should be doing. The sea itself is safe, but what is the point? The point should be that we translate security to prosperity. And we're thankful that Lagos is showing some leadership in that regard, and we hope that it can ripple through to all the other states along the coastline. So Blue for You means the sea affects us all, from food security to jobs to trade to coastal living. Of course, still in the news is the 10-year National Blue Economy Strategy that was launched sometime in March. I know that the minister has been making copious reference to it, and in terms of how we implement, in terms of the necessary framework for actualization, there's been ongoing interactions and activities. There was a stakeholder meeting, I think some weeks back. This was held shortly after the World Maritime Day, and there's some activity going on with that, but we need to move from these conversations into action. We hope that the next time we invite Mr. Emmanuel Oluwadamilola to Code Blue, he'll be reporting some movements that have taken place within that intervening time space and telling us that something is going on, and here are the proof to show for it. Of course, there's the conversation on port modernization going on, an investment of $1 billion, which the federal government has approved for Apapa and Tinkan in Lagos. And then there's procurement on the way to upgrade Port Harcourt, Calabar, and Onne ports. We hope that these investments will actually move these ports into functional, operational status. I think it's very important so that Lagos can begin to shed some weight in terms of the workload that the ports in Lagos are currently handling, and then move decentralized port-related activities, blue-centric activities along the coast, and hopefully that should trigger engagement, excitement, and increased participation in the blue economy. We need to have that. And it's very important because, whether we like it or not, the fact is there that we've been losing cargo traffic to Ghana and to Togo. I hope we don't have any of our friends from Ghana on this call. But if we determine over 60 to 65% of seaborne trade within the Gulf of Guinea, talking about Nigeria, we're the biggest fish in this pond. Well, certainly we should be attracting and enjoying the highest volume in terms of cargo throughput as far as this region is concerned. So something needs to give, and I hope that we can see this translate quickly. And then for the states that are trying to build their own ports, we hope that there's some progress also on their own fronts. Like in my state of Akwa Ibom, the Deep Sea Port project has been on for quite some time. We hope we can begin to see some movement along those lines. Maritime security successes, we've already mentioned that. Thanks to the Code Blue project and the Nigerian Navy, we must not, the Deep Blue project, I beg your pardon. The launch of the Deep Blue project and the Nigerian Navy. For those of us who were part of this, we recognize specifically the role that the Navy as an institution played, in addition to the Deep Blue project, to get us to where we are, and we're enjoying the recognition from the IMO. We now need to translate that into prosperity, economic impact. The essence of security achievement is to begin to yield prosperity. Even when nations go to war, it is always premised on an objective. Nations go to war over oil. They go to war over what? Rare earths, minerals. The goal is usually, most times, economic. So now that we have security in place, we must translate security into prosperity. Otherwise, we risk going back to fight the same battles again, because criminality will not just vanish. Criminality needs to be engaged so that there's economic productivity. So there are some other reports that are regional for us to take a look at here. We'll share the slides. The Nigeria's National Hydrographic Agency has contributed about 85,000 kilometers of seabed data to the Seabed 2030 project, one of Africa's largest contributions. So Nigeria is making waves, no doubt about it, in terms of how the world views us, and in terms of our natural endowments. We have tremendous comparative advantages as far as the seas, as far as the waters are concerned. And we need to begin to make it count. We need to begin to see the value in terms of how it enriches our lives as a people. Until we see that, all of these comparative advantages will account for nothing. So we need to become more competitive. Then there are updates on sustainable fisheries and food security. There's a new policy modernization in this regards, the new National Fisheries and Aquaculture Policy and updated fisheries bill to reform the sector. That is some good movement. But beyond that is also the architecture of enforcement. Because if we have the best laws, the best legislation, and we're not enforcing them, which seems to be our bane at the moment, and it is, then we're not better off. So there has got to be an awakening towards how do we enforce, how do we implement, so that there's deterrence, and that ensures that we can begin to see the benefits of this. This is also meant to boost local production of fisheries, which is important because we still import some of our fisheries requirements, some of our aquaculture needs, and we shouldn't be. We should be exporting, talking about exportation. In the same way, we now have, through Dangote refineries, dealt with the finished petroleum products palaver, a problem. We now must draw inspiration from those sectors to move things ahead. Some amazing thing is going on in the aviation sector, because right now we can now boast of Lagos to Gatwick. We can now boast of Abuja Heathrow, courtesy of Air Peace. We can now boast of Abuja Gatwick. So there are we're flying three routes right now. 2 from Abuja into the UK, 1 from Lagos into the UK. This was not the case about a year and a half ago. So the aviation sector is beginning to go all out to reclaim all that Nigeria has lost for almost a decade. So the blue economy space, the maritime sector, must take a cue, find some inspiration from what is going on there to say, look, we need to do our bit. We need to become a lot more aggressive if we are to make the blue economy a reality for Nigerians. So I hope that some of our colleagues who are currently state actors are taking note of this. And Lagos has to lead. Lagos has to lead in whichever way, shape, or form. These are all ideas. Lagos is already poised, is already engaged. So these are ideas, lots and lots of ideas. Lagos can choose to make itself the blue economy engine for the country. Why not? So these are things that need to happen. I know I'm from Akwa Ibom State, and my Akwa Ibom brothers, I hope they will understand. I'm talking about the blue economy in general. If Lagos is there, I'm also a Lagosian. All my life has been here in Lagos. So, but Lagos has to lead. Lagos is in that pole position. The essence of the leadership is to inspire others and to galvanize collective effort so that we can witness collaborative input across states, across sectors, whether they are players or policymakers everybody coming to the table and saying, this is code blue. This is an alert right now. Our pulse has been checked. There's so much more to be done. Everybody weigh in. Everybody hop on the vessel. Let's make the blue economy a reality. And of course, there are updates. The Nigerian Society of Engineers is choosing not to leave itself out of the conversation. Of course, recently they visited the NPA, and they're looking forward to forming a strategic collaboration to drive sustainable growth in the marine and blue economy space. The sea is for all. Under our Blue for You project, we say the sea for all, that all may see. The sea is for all. The sea affects us all. The medical practitioners can find themselves playing a part in the sea, in the blue economy. Why not? There are vessels that are now totally retrofitted to serve as hospitals at sea during major emergencies, especially during COVID. We had the Americans deploy a similar vessel, purely. So medical practitioners, you have space. The real estate practitioner, you have a space for you to play in here. We just need to connect that nexus that brings us all into this conversation. And that's what the Blue Economy Academy was set up to do, to eliminate sea blindness and to galvanize participation across the board. Those in the financial services, you can play in this space as well. Those involved in HR, training, capacity building. We need human assets. We need skills. We need talent deployed to help us unearth our ocean assets. So this is very good, and I know they're planning to co-host an international conference, but beyond the conferences, the Nigerian Society of Engineers must ask itself, how can we plug in very practical and functional ways? In other words, what are the low-hanging fruits? Or as I said during an interview on Channels Television last week, I was talking about what the cabotage regime, that it's an unpicked fruit. We have the law, and we're looking forward to having a conversation in one of our future code blues on cabotage. And I'm glad that Mr. Emmanuel mentioned that as well, because those vessels, when they come in for OBECO, would have to comply with the cabotage regime. And I said the cabotage is an unpicked fruit. It's not even a low-hanging fruit anymore. It's an unpicked fruit because the law has been passed. The funds are there, sitting, waiting. We now have a policy. So it's really about execution. What will it take to implement? And then we've assembled the financial institutions known as the PLIs, the primary lending institutions. So the stars are aligned. Let's push so that people can begin to buy ships. Maybe Mrs. Oduswaya and Admiral Agada will collaborate and bring a few other partners together to own a vessel, to own a cabotage vessel, to supply some of our IOCs their needs within our waters. I think about it. Imagine if British Airways or Virgin Atlantic flew into Lagos from Heathrow and then flew passengers from Lagos to Abuja. That will kill our local capacity. It's the same challenge we're currently having in our waters, in our coastal waters. So we all have to get involved. All of us must get interested. Don't think you're too small to own a ship. Get involved. You never know. That's what the cabotage law provides for. The sea affects us all. Let's make the most of our waters. And as we have more and more code blues, we will discuss a lot of this. Supporting indigenous shipping industry, I got ahead of myself there. And that's what this is about. So we hope that as we continue to have events like NIMAREX, built for 17th to the 19th of November, where various stakeholders in the maritime space are coming together, we want to see movement. We want to, as they say in our pidgin parlance, show workings. We want to see movement. Let's show workings. So much is going on. Then globally, on the global front, there's discussion. Angola, Namibia, South Africa are partnering together, are partnering on a $10.5 million project with regards to regional climate resilience. And I think this is very important. It goes to the heart of sustainability. So much is going on, and we all need to awaken to this. Then, of course, there are treaty milestones with regards to the high seas. A lot is going on to protect and ensure biodiversity is protected and sustained amongst nations. 60 nations have ratified this. As I said, this presentation will be available and you can actually take it further in terms of studying and doing some additional research. All of this is to call awareness to our seas, to our oceans, and to our blue possibilities as a people. So that is blue for you. You have been briefed, and I think all of the questions have been asked and answered. And in the spirit of that, I want to formally declare that Code Blue 4.0, you have been briefed about the state of our oceans. That's why this is an ocean intelligence brief as at today, and it is that Lagos leads the way. It is leading, and we want Lagos to continue to lead. So let me thank once again our lead discussant, Mr. Emmanuel Oluwadamilola, the special advisor to the I was going to say to the president, who knows, maybe that's what will happen next, to the governor of Lagos State on the blue economy. Mr. Emmanuel, thank you very much for doing this for us. We appreciate you. And everyone that has attended, all of our regulars, Admiral Agada, Russell, Simon Church, I see you all. Victor Ilo, I know Victor Ilo is there, my brother in Nimasa, and I know you're doing a lot. I think you're in the Blue Economy Department as well. Thank you very much. I see all of you here. I want to say thank you. Mrs. Olamide Odusanya, thank you very much. I hope to talk to you very soon, maybe after this Code Blue. Thank you everyone for participating. The communique will be ready in the next, I think, 3 or 4 hours, and will be shared via email, and we shall continue this conversation online on all of our social media platforms. So on behalf of the Blue Economy Academy, thank you. Code Blue is adjourned till November, the last Tuesday in November, where we will move from Code Blue 4.0 to Code Blue 5.0. Thank you, everyone, and please enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, and bye.
Thank you, Admiral, and bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this session. I've really been enlightened. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.